close my eyes and colors fly.
Hey Kidzway, it's so good to see you today. First up, we have your leader's crazy talents. So here's Julie playing something for you on the spoon.
It's called Popcorn, so hopefully you've heard of it. If not, make sure you watch it on YouTube. Here goes.
We are going to play a game, a dress-up game. So on the chairs, there are different dress-ups. And so what we're going to do is we're going to run to the first row and pick a dress up, bring it back, put it on, then run to the second row, pick a dress up, bring it back, put it on, same again and again. And then at the end, we are going to be all dressed up and we're going to put on a fashion show for you.
Amazing.
And we have a special judge who's got to pick who has the best outfit. Are you ready? Maybe you can play at home.
Ready?
Ready, set, go. Okay. Nice tutu.
I'm gonna look through.
I don't know how to do this up.
Gotta pick a top.
There we go. Okay.
How am I gonna wear this?
Some flowers. Let's stick them just there like that for now. Okay. Oh, accessory. The flowers are falling out my skirt. The flowers, okay. Oh, okay.
I think I picked some pretty good ones.
Now we are ready for the runway.
Hello, darlings. I have been flown in from Milan as the Queen of Fashion to judge today's fashion show.
If he did it before, he can do it again. So I trust him with what comes next. For the God I know, he's known for faithfulness. Yeah, my hindsight says I can trust him with what's next.
Hello, darlings. So this one I really quite like because it's giving me some Eeyore tomboy chic. And I'm quite liking the little sparkly sequins on here, whereas this one just kind of looks like Kinan going to a funeral. So I'm going to vote, this is our winner today, Eeyore chic.
Today we are talking about giving, which remember is our theme for this month, and we started talking about it last week. But specifically, we are talking today about the 3 T's. What are the 3 T's, you may ask? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because we are going to tell you what the 3 T's stand for and what they have to do with giving.
Right now. Alright, so the first T is time, and time can be represented by the clock we have inside the time box. So Grace, do you want to help me put time on?
Right, time.
There's the I.
There we go. E. Perfect.
So that's our time. Now, some ways that we can give time to God is through spending time with our friends from church or people that we love. We can serve at church. We can do some dancing and singing in our praise and worship time. That's amazing. And we can also give time to other people. So people that we might not always talk to, maybe someone on the playground that doesn't have as many friends, you can spend time with them. Now, one example that I can think of is our Kidzway leaders. So our Kidzway leaders give so much time to be able to give you guys a program so you can have fun on your Sundays at church. And I think that's an awesome example of time, giving to God.
Awesome. So many ways to give your time to God, all tucked away in our time box. So what does this second T stand for?
I think it stands for talent, Grace.
It does. And inside, to remind us, we have some bells which represent a musical instrument. And we know that music is a talent, although there are lots of different talents. So we'll put that in there.
Let's spell it out.
Let's spell talent.
We've got our A, our L,
Yeah. E,
the N,
N, and T.
the last T.
There we go.
Talent.
Talent.
What are we going to put in our talent box, Grace?
Okay, so what are some talents? Can you think of anything that could go in the talent box? Let's take a look. What about gardening?
That's
Gardening
a
is a talent that you could use and give to God to make people happy or help people in their gardens.
What about this one, Grace? Musical
Ah,
instruments.
yeah, we spoke about that one, didn't we? Music.
Right in the
You
box.
can use your instruments for praise and worship.
Yeah.
Or leading at church.
Then we've got some dancing. Dancing is a talent. It's a
Who
great
here likes
talent.
to dance?
I like
I'm not a
dancing.
good- Sophie's a better dancer than me. I'm an awful dancer. What about playing sports? This one's soccer, but maybe you play netball. Sophie plays
Yeah.
netball or
Basketball,
tennis. Yeah,
tennis.
anything. Or swimming. You can be good at any of these things, and they can be used by God.
Then we've got some cooking. Who's a good chef? I'm not a good chef. Everything I cook burns.
Cooking is definitely a talent.
Yeah, it is.
So is eating. That's my talent. Or what about just being friendly? Maybe you're a really
Yeah.
friendly person and you're really good at making people feel welcome. That is a talent, and that is something that can be used by God that you can give to Him. You know, my example, when I think of talent being used by God, I think of my mum. And my mum is a very talented cook.
Very talented.
Yeah, she makes amazing food. But you know what? She doesn't just use that talent for herself, but she uses it to feed other people, to make meals for sick people, and to help out and make things at church for like Celebrate the Nations. She has people over for dinner, and she really blesses other people with the food that she cooks.
Amazing.
So many different ways we can use and give our talent to God.
And we've got two great boxes here, Grace.
We do.
What's the other one?
Time, talent, but we have one last T. What could it be? It stands for, let's take a look inside, shall we? See if
Yeah.
we can guess. It stands for, what are these?
Oh, those are sparkly.
It stands for, well, these are jewels, but that doesn't start with T, does it? It stands for treasure.
Treasure.
Because we can give our treasure to
Amazing.
God. So let's put our
We've got
treasure
a
back
T
in there,
here.
Thomas. How do we spell treasure?
Let's see. There's an R,
Let's make sure we can get it right.
an R.
An R, and an E,
Yep.
and an A,
An A.
an A.
Then an S.
Yep. An S, a U,
Ooh, this is a long word.
it is, and an R, and the final
the
E. Treasure.
Amazing.
Okay, but what does our treasure stand for? Often when we think of treasure, we think of money, don't we? And we can give our money to God. We can give our tithes and our offerings, or we can use our money to buy food or things that will help people who don't have very much. So we can give our money to God, but we treasure other things too, don't we?
I treasure other things.
Yeah, like some people treasure food.
Yum.
Who here treasures food? Chocolate. I treasure chocolate. Some people treasure their food. So we're going to put some food in there. What about motorbikes or cars? Maybe you have a bike or a favourite toy or something that you treasure. So I'm going to put the bike in there. That can be a treasure. What about our homes? Our homes can be a treasure.
Definitely.
And our family, we can treasure our family. But you know what? All these things that we treasure, we can use for God and can be used by God. For example, actually I'll do that one in a minute. For example, our houses. If we treasure our houses and we've been given something like a house to treasure, maybe we can use it to invite people over and make them some dinner and make them feel really welcome in our houses and just to share Jesus with them. Or what about food? we can share our food and buy groceries for people who don't have any. Or even the things that we love. The things that we love can be used by God, like a motorbike. Maybe you can use that to run around and do errands for people that can't get out, like maybe old people or something like that. Now, obviously not you guys, because you're a little bit little, but with the help of mum and dad, you could maybe do some errands for your neighbours with the help of your car, those things that you treasure. And my example for treasure is my family, because my family are people that I love and that I treasure, and I adore spending time with my family. Now, when I was younger, I used to have a lot of friends who didn't have a family like my family. Their family had some problems. And you know what? I used to ask them over to my house to spend time with my family, where my family would love them and be so good to them. And so I used to have friends that would come over just to spend time with my mum and dad because they loved my mum and dad. So in that way, through my family, I got to share Jesus with my friends.
Amazing. That's our treasure box.
So many things that we can give and be used to God. We've got our time and our talent and our treasure.
Amazing.
The 3 T's. How about you have a think? How can you give your time, your talents, and your treasure to God?
Alright, so our story today is from Acts 9. Now, it's about a woman called Tabitha and the disciple named Peter. Right here. Alright, let's get into it.
The Bible tells us about a woman called Tabitha who lived in the town of Joppa. Now, did you know that in Greek, Tabitha's name is the same as saying Dorcas? Imagine being called Dorcas. Anyway, Tabitha believed in God and was a follower of Jesus, so she was always doing kind things and helping people who were poor. Tabitha had a special talent too. She was a great sewer and would make beautiful clothing for people who needed them. Oh, my favourite colour is purple. And the green dress for me. And that means yellow for me. Put on the beautiful dresses that Tabitha made. Now one day, Tabitha became very sick. And she died. Her body was laid in a room, and the people she had helped and made clothes for were incredibly sad. But those who believed in Jesus knew that Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, was nearby. They sent 2 men to Peter to beg him to come to their town and see Tabitha as soon as possible.
Peter, come to our town, please.
So Peter went to the town of Joppa. There he was taken to the room where Tabitha laid. The room was filled with people crying. They showed Peter all the beautiful clothes that Tabitha had made them.
Wow.
Peter asked them all to leave the room.
Go away, please.
Then he knelt down and he prayed. Turning to the body, Peter said, "Get up, Tabitha." And she opened her eyes. Wow! When she saw Peter, she sat up. He helped her up and then called in all the other followers
Come back.
and the people that she had helped and made clothes for. He showed them that she was alive. The news of what had happened spread throughout the whole town, and many more people believed in Jesus too. So Tabitha used her time to make clothes and to help the poor people. She used her talent, which of course we know was dressmaking, and she gave her treasure, because we all know that when we make something or create something, we tend to treasure that thing and really like it, don't we? And so she would have treasured and put so much effort into these clothes she made, and then she gave them away. So, just like Tabitha, you can give and use for God your time, your talent, and your treasure. We have a whole new Zap verse this month, and it's 2 Corinthians 9 verse 7, which says, "You must each decide in your heart how much to give, and don't give reluctantly or in response to pressure, for God loves a person who gives cheerfully." Now remember, if you memorize the Zap verse and send me a video of you saying it, or if you come and say it to one of your leaders at Kidzway, then your name will go on our memory verse board and you will get a prize and a chance to pie a leader in the face. Bye kids! It was good to see you. See you next week. And remember, how can you use your time, talent and treasure for God? See you later.
On my side, you're in